观众朋友大家好，欢迎来到本次的傲神金股小股票大收益，我是 Angel。今天我又给大家带来一家做矿能源的公司矿产公司是做锡的，我感觉这家公司非常有意思也介绍给大家。它的 OTC 代码是 Elrrf，然后它在多伦多交易所的代码是 ELO.V。我今天请来的是他们的 CEO Tom。Hello Tom.
Hi Angel, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to have you on your show. Have me on your show. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate to attend today's show. And before that, I will briefly to speak about the disclaimer. 那在本次采访之前，我先做一下免责声明。那本次关于 Elrrf-Resource 的一些信息，包括管理层对未来的一些计划、运营的都是评估，可能构成适用证券法下的一些前瞻性的陈述，希望各位观众都能够理解。Okay, let's start, Tom, to talk about more about Elrrf.
Sure, thanks, Angel. Basically, Elrrf Resources, we are a publicly traded exploration and development company based out of Toronto, Canada. As you mentioned, our symbol is ELO on the Venture Toronto Stock Exchange, and also we're on a listing in Frankfurt with the P2Q and OTCQX ELRRF. Basically, we are our main focus is on the polymetallic multi-metal epithermal type polymetallic system in southern Bolivia in the Department of Potosí. It is called Ixca. And this is a property that is 9.5 square kilometers, but it encompasses what we call a dormant volcano, a volcanic edifice, a property that has never been drilled ever until we became involved with this very exciting opportunity. We have our drilling started up at the Ixca project in southern Bolivia back in September of 2020, and with the first results coming from this brand new drilling campaign, we attracted $30 million of financing, private placements, bought deals as they call them, through the Haywood Securities Group, Cantor Fitzgerald, Canada, and Cormark.
Yes.
So that money, the $30 million, basically supports. Right now we have 4 drills, three surface drills and 1 underground drill. We have drilled to date at the Ixca polymetallic multi-metal project, primarily silver, tin, zinc, and lead. Byproducts, gold, copper, bismuth, indium, cadmium. We have drilled over 54, 53, it says 51, but we're at around 53,000 meters of drilling to date since we started drilling in September of 2020. And we've completed around 83 holes to date. Next slide.
Okay, let me translate this slide first.
Okay.
So Elrrf 这家公司是个在 OTCQX 的，它的代码是 ELRRF， 它在法兰克福也有挂牌，然后在多伦多也有挂牌。那它是一家公开交易的勘探矿山开发公司它是在潜在的一个世界级叫 Ixca 这个地方，玻利维亚南部的一个波托西省这里。那么它已经拥有的是9000平方公里，然后极具前景，这个 Ixca 99%的一个权益，而且这个地方之前没有被开采过，这点非常重要。那它是拥有这个地方，他们叫金属矿斑岩浅热复合体，是海拔4000米的地方。 目前是2021年第一季度是筹集了大概3000万加元吧，是通过以上这几个做的一个融资。伊斯卡这个项目是在一个积极勘探的过程中，包括是51000米的一个金刚石的勘探，然后2020年9月以来呢，已经是快速推进已经是完成了5万多米。那现在是打了83个洞，然后是3个在表层1个在地下大概是这个公司的大框是这样子的。
Yes, so this is a slide showing the share capitalization of the company. We currently have roughly 63.8 million shares that are actually outstanding. And then when you include warrants, restricted share units, and options, stock options, we have, on a fully diluted basis, just over 77 million shares. The market cap, the share capitalization, the value today on the market based on outstanding shares works out to over 330 million dollars Canadian. The insiders and close associates have roughly 28 to 30 million shares of that 63.7 million shares outstanding. So it's a very tightly held in comparison to our peer group that have at this stage probably 200-300 million shares out. We're very tight position at around, again, 63.8 million shares. Next, or just yeah.
那这是看一下这个公司目前的资本结构那它已经发行流通3月3号的数据是6368万，然后认股权证它当时是5毛钱到5.25块来执行的，大概是760万股。那期权限制性的这些是584，然后完全稀释是7711万。股价我看了一下，现在的股价是4.2毛4然后市场资本化大概是338个 million， 那也就是3.38亿当然这是加元。管理层董事方面的一个持股是2800万大家可以看到一个2800万对6368万的这一个情况。Okay.
So right now, just looking at this slide, it's interesting because I just need my slide deck. I'm looking at is this the actual silver slide here that we're looking at?
Yeah, silver is the supply and the demand.
I see. So the company basically is looking, the primary metals that we seem to be discovering are both tin and silver. Silver is going to be a major component of this major potential world-class deposit, and the silver market, we believe, is in comparison to other commodities, is very much undervalued. Taking a look at its peer group, but for instance, gold, I think the ratio is probably something like 75-1. It should be, obviously higher priced silver compared to gold. But the advantage we see in gold is not only is it for monetary use, but it's also obviously for industrial use, and it's become what they deem as a future metal. There's high demand in the electronics sector, solar sector. So the overall size potential of this deposit, I mean, it's still early days, but we could see anywhere from 500 million ounces to 1 billion ounces on this, which could be, I think, very significant. Next.
So is it talking about the tin, the technology driven?
I'm sorry. I thought that was the tin?
Yeah,
that was the
tin. That's
okay. I just did the silver. So do you want me to revert back?
Yeah, the matter you can just say about the tin part.
Yeah, the tin. Okay, then you can switch it around.
Yeah. No matter.
Okay, the company in recent drilling, we've discovered some major tin intercepts in our drilling campaign. The Bolivia has historically always had a tin belt, has been always historically a producer of tin. Back in 1985, when the tin market collapsed, the tin market in Bolivia also collapsed. So it's been very, very underexplored ever since. There are some artisanal tin mines. There's probably, in the tin market, if you take a look at annual production, or at least the amount of tin that's annually produced, it's around 300,000 tons. Bolivia historically had quite, their ratio, their tonnage was probably 50-80% higher than it is today. They come in at around 14,000 tons per year, which is a small amount in comparison, under 10%, obviously, in comparison to the overall market. China is a large producer of tin. They produce close to 30% of the tin market. The Chinese, though, however, keep most of their tin for internal use. So Myanmar also is a tin producer, but that's more high grade, lower tonnage. But they would do over 20 million tons a year of production in relation to the 300,000 ton overall amount. Peru has, they're also in the tin belt. The southeastern part of Peru has the San Rafael tin deposit, and that produces at around 20,000 tons. So those are the basic players, a little bit coming out of Africa. So tin, if we come up with a major discovery of tin, that could really help with the market, with the Bolivians, with their tin smelters, especially if we can show a potential mine life of 40 to 50 years. That's our objective. Tin is basically used for soldering. They deem it as the glue of the metals. And when you look at electronic circuitry, circuit boards, it's involved in almost every usage. There's probably 4,000 applications, different applications for the tin, which you can find in the Tin Association documentation. So tin is a very tight market. We believe there's a deficit developing of probably 10% of that 300. And also the price of tin has dramatically increased. The tin price currently is at around $42,000 US a ton. That works out to about $19.50 per pound of tin in a ton of rock, a ton of ore. So we are very, very pleased. We're coming in with 0.4% tin. That equates to 4 pounds to 8 pounds of tin per ton. And tin, again, let's say rounded off at $20. That's showing you a value of anywhere from $80 to $160 just per ton of ore. So very, very interesting. And we believe it's in what they call cassiterite, which is easy to liberate. Okay. So we're very enthusiastic on tin.
Okay. 好，他前面是因为这个 PPT， 他当时给我的是说锡，他前面还介绍了自己的银啊。这家公司除了做锡这一块的矿产挖掘，做银也是一块。他前面有介绍说，他觉得银这一部分也是价值被低估的，作为一个主要的能源的一个矿产资源吧。那么我们先不说银这一块，那大家也知道，它除了做锡这一块的矿石的挖掘，它银也在做。锡这块它其实是技术动力啊，前面我有听他介绍，其实锡是有一点像让两个金属之间粘在一起的粘合剂这样类似的一个作用。 然后需求和供给是完全不匹配的，需求非常大，特别是我们的电子产品方面对硒的需求要50%，特别半导体啊、绿色能源驱动方面，光伏电动车，特别是现在电动车对那个硒需求显著增加。那么而在供给方面有很多的供应包括他前面说到秘鲁包括中国它的那个储备很高，但是很多都是自己用的，那这样就造成了整个全球来说很多供给不能满足现在的需求。那玻利维亚这一块它其实以前它的硒的那个叫脉嘛的这个脉络它是很多，但是后来因为硒价低什么就很少有人再去挖掘，所以现在我们 Elrrf 这一块来希望能够对硒的整个产能的提升能够做很大的贡献。大家可以看一下半导体的一个需求量的和同比的一个增长，那么以及全球硒的供需的一个平衡是很不平衡的。Okay, the next slide.
So the next slide is basically the definitive option agreement.
Yeah.
And so the commercial terms are this. The company, the property, the Iska property, the 9.5 square kilometer project, is privately owned. So it's a family, a mining family. They also have construction and hotels. They're a wealthy South Bolivian family called the Villegas family. So we have an agreement with them that we have to pay them $10 million US, but we have 4 years to do that as of when the actual definitive option agreement was signed on January 6, 2020. So we have until January 6, 2024 to make that $10 million US payment. We've been so pleased with the drilling and the results, and the Villegas family have been assisting us with construction on the property, with the road access for the surface drills, for the accessibility and the adits, the underground. You see a picture in the foreground of an underground drill. That's us. We've hired Leduc Drilling, but we made a $3 million US payment to the Villegas family a couple of quarters ago. So we're left owing $7 million US. That's it. There's no expenditures yearly, no forced expenditures, no royalties. We also had to issue 250,000 shares of Elrrf in January when we signed the deal, and another 250,000 shares 2 years after, which we completed in January of this year. So in other words, 500,000 shares were issued of Elrrf to the owners, the Villegas family. 7 million US is left before we take control of a 99% interest of Iska.
Okay.
And the Villegas will contain 1%.
Okay. 他们是 Iska 这个地方，它是属于一个 Villegas 这个家族的那它现在是2020年1月6号签署的最终，它所以是完全允许他们 Elrrf 去在这个地方去勘探钻井是没有任何障碍的，那也就没有固定的一些排支的要求也没有什么特许的产权使用费等等。2020年2月份的时候，他向这个拥有者们产权的所持有人是发了25万股那等到他们全部好了之后，还会再发25万股给他们。那么在2024年1月6号前要一共给他们打过去$1000万，那目前已经是付了$300万，还剩$700万。那么他们会收购对Iska 这个地方99%的权益，那这个家族就持有1%的权益，这样一个情况。
So here we have some of the other mining companies, mining and exploration companies that are also involved in our district, the Department of Potosi. You can see Iska, our project, just above the little town of Tupiza. That's in the very southern part of Bolivia. The these other companies are within 200 kilometers of where Iska is. So this shows you where the real concentration of mining takes place in the southern part, the Department of Potosí. You have the very famous Cerro Rico de Potosí. That's translated in Spanish into English. It's basically rich hill, and they have taken from that close to 2.2 billion ounces of silver. It's the largest silver mine in the world historically. It was found in the 16th century, and it basically financed the Spanish Armada. It basically financed the Spaniards when they were a world power back in the 17th century, 16th century, 17th century. So the Cerro Rico is basically a lot of artisanal mining, a lot of different cooperativas today. So there's no actual private owner per se. It's mainly owned by Bolivia.
Okay.
The other company is New Pacific Metals, and that is called. They have the Silver Sands deposit, and that's owned by Pan American Silver and also Silver Corp, which is a Chinese-based silver company, and they have the chairman of Silver Corp, CEO, is now the CEO chairman of New Pacific Metals. So they've had some very good success. The stock market took their company up to close to $1 billion market cap about 2 years ago on the discovery of the Silver Sands deposit. So they're very active today. We also have Andean Precious Metals. We have Silver Elephant. We have the Sumitomo Corporation of Japan that runs the San Cristobal operation. That's a huge operation, one of the biggest silver byproduct mines in the world. They started into production around 2007. They spent $1.8 billion on infrastructure. It's a big open pit, bulk tonnage operation, silver, lead, zinc. We feel that our deposit could be 3-4 times the size, the way the drilling's going, and our model will be similar to theirs, a bulk tonnage, in some cases open pit, and underground mining operation. And then finally you have Pan American Silver, the San Vicente deposit, and that's 40 kilometers northwest of us. That's also a silver producing mine.
Okay. 那我们先说一下玻利维亚这个地方吧，它是一个矿产资源非常丰富的一个多矿产的一个国家。那么我们现在Elrrf 这个买下来这个权益的这个地方叫Iska，就在这里。大家可以看它旁边这红点点是 Polymetallic 这都不同的金属已经发现的。那也就知道在这个地方已经发现很多，就说明这个地方就是一个什么容易挖到矿产的。那它不只是一个单一的矿，不只是一个锡，你还能发到金啊、银啊、铁矿石啊、锌啊、锂啊、铅啊等等都可以看到。那下面这个表格是不同的公司都在这里挖矿。那我们现在 Elrrf 的是吃下来 Iska 这个地方。那刚才他介绍了不同的公司，有是在16世纪、17世纪西班牙的一些公司，也有日本的公司，包括我们中国的公司等等不同的公司，像新太平洋金属等等都有。那么我们是觉得说，这个地方玻利维亚这个地方选址包括这个有那么多山，到底是哪座山我们现在选的是Iska这个地方，都是有原因的那现在也把这个地方的所有产权买下来99%。那未来我们已经在开矿的过程中，一步一步正按照计划进行。
So this is basically an aerial shot of the property of the 9.5 square kilometers. Those white lines are basically road access on basically the top of the mountain and going down the side of the valley. you can basically almost see the formation of that extinct volcano. But this is a 9.5 square kilometer property location.
OK，这是继续告诉你啊，他们这个伊斯卡这个普尔尼亚特许权啊，可通往道路免版税财产权啊。然后大概的地方是图皮萨市以北48公里，然后占地面积大概是900公顷啊，然后那个地理位置都在这儿。
I'd like to also just mention on that slide that there are no artisanal miners. There's no people on the site. So there are no social issues whatsoever. And it's 48 kilometers north of the town of Tepeza.
OK，那他刚才想强调就是没有那个手工采矿者，这个是很重要的，不然会有一些社会问题啊等等啊。那他也强调了我刚才有说过的，是在这个地理位置是在图皮萨市以北的48公里处。
So social license, ESG, lots of discussions, and a lot of companies are very, very aware and are complying for obvious reasons with ESG. Social license is very, very important to Elrrf Resources. We have a Bolivian team on site, completely Bolivian, all Bolivian nationals, run by Dr. Osvaldo Arce, being a Bolivian himself, born and bred. He did go to university in Japan, but he got a doctorate of geoscience. But there is basically 14, 15 geologists and technical assistants, all Bolivian. Edwin Villegas, the family is quite wealthy. The local community from Isca might be 5-10 kilometers away, a very small community. We were told by Edwin we should basically put together over 100 sanitation units just to help things along with this community. And these are the types of things, that's what social license is all about. One thing that's very important to know is that the Bolivians are a very, very proud and nationalistic country. It's a small country population-wise. They go back, they have many historical traditions, and there are people that they own the property, they own the country, it's their country, and if we want to do business and do it properly, we obviously will do whatever we can for the community. Next.
好，那说一下，作为一个公司啊，我们的企业社会责任感是很重要的一块 ESG 这一部分。那么 Elrrf-Resources 这家公司非常致力于这个历史悠久的一个矿区在 COVID-19 期间也是有社区提供一些物资啊，支持学校等等，包括他们所有的劳动力团队都是在玻利维亚当地的劳动力。那玻利维亚这个地方本身就是一个历史比较悠久，也有自己很多民族感的一个地方，所以他们在人家的地方当然是买下了99%的产权伊斯卡这个地方，但是还是非常努力的去适应人家的一个文化，他们的一些想法跟社区也做了一个很好的融合。
So this gives you basically an idea of what we're dealing with when you look at it visually as a real shot, another aerial view of of this Isca caldera. And caldera means basically a collapsed center from the volcano, within the volcano. And that's why from top of the central breccia pipe, the top peak, to the bottom, to the floor, that's 1,000 meters vertical. Okay? 1,000 meters vertical. And where we started drilling was up at the Hiracasa, which is to the right, the Hiracasa portal. That was an adit. That's where the inaugural first pass drilling started in September of 2020. Again, this property had never been drilled, And you see those, like you see Porco, you see Central, you see Santa Barbara, you see Heracassa. Those are, you see Porco Added. Those are in fact volcanic structures.
Oh, okay.
What they call breccia pipes that are vertical roughly, and dacitic domes. That comes from volcanism that created, this is the after effect of the massive volcano that would have erupted 12 million years ago. The surrounding area is rock, sediments, silt stones that are 250 million years old. So the Ordovician time period. So when the volcanism took place throughout the Andes, it was during what they call the Miocene period. And that's when volcanism took place. But because this is such a wide, like close to 4 kilometers across, and some of the breccia pipes are so wide in diameter, there must have been a huge explosion of gases and water mixtures from the magma underneath that created this major volcano. And then as it cooled, everything started collapsing in the middle. And that's the formation you have today. So that's a very interesting picture. It shows you that a lot of our drilling is on the Santa Barbara. That's where we're doing our first pass mineral resource study. That's where a lot of the drilling has been, in the adit and then down. And also the Porco breccia pipe, especially underneath that is where we see a big tin porphyry system. But that's a very good, clear view of the topography.
我们来看一下 Izcaixca 这个地方，它是一个横切面啊，它是一个火山口的一个综合体的视图。Izcaixca Caldera 他刚才给我解释，就是说这个是火山凹陷处啊，就往下坍陷处啊，这就主要目标，他们就是要挖这一块。然后是这个点3个点。那么它就是为地下工程提供一个最初的地下勘探局啊，最早他们是在这儿开始打洞的。那原因也是很简单啊，因为火山这个下面会有很多的宝藏啊，应该说是2亿5千年前很多的宝藏在这下面啊，值得去勘探啊。再强调一遍，这个点开始打洞，就整这一片脉络，目前还没有人打过，没有人在这里去挖掘过。我们 Elrrf 是第一家呢。那么它其实这个地形跟他们当时在 Arizona 的内华都做一个项目非常相似啊。那当然在那里的确是挖到了很多的锡啊，很多的银啊等等。那么地形方面以及之前这一块没有人去设计，但本身这个地方是非常富足的一个矿产资源很富足的一个地方，所以我们相信在现在选址方面是很正确的，而且下面的物产应该是照道理来说推断应该是非常丰富的。
So here we see basically the property, geology, and the mineralization. This is just basically a sketch, but when you see the red dots around Santa Barbara, that's really encompassing the Santa Barbara volcanic breccia pipe structure. And also around that structure is mineralized, what we call the Santa Barbara envelope around that dotted space. That works out, that area is roughly 1,400 meters from southeast to northwest strike length by 600 meters depth by 500 meters width. And when you're coming up with a volumetric, the metrics on the size of ton of rock in this area, because this is the area we're focusing in on for our first mineral resource, or what they call the 43 NI 43101 inferred and indicated resource. This works out, you multiply it by a specific gravity of 2.8 for density. And that works out to over 1 billion tons. Just that one area, over 1 billion tons of rock. Every single hole that we have drilled has been mineralized. Not necessarily all commercial, but it has certainly all been mineralized. And the rule of thumb is if we can see 30-40%, that's, let's say, $100 value per ton of rock, when you combine the different metal values, you're talking 500 million tons of ore. And if you're getting, let's say, 30 grams silver in that mix, that's where I'm showing you the 400 to 500 million ounces of silver alone. So this is where most of the drilling has been sort of totally zeroed in on. You also see further along, like the big caldera complex. So Santa Barbara, the red dotted area, then you see Central Breccia, and then you see Porco Breccia. These are also other vertical complexes that brought up magma as well. And then that black dot is the Isca, basically the center of the original volcano. But we also have other areas, potential other breccia pipes down to the southeast. So, it's early days, and there's going to be a lot more drilling needed for us to find out the boundary of the size potential of this. The mineralization age is similar to Cerro Rico, and it's similar to other major deposits in the area, such as San Vicente, Choroque, Tasna, and Tatasi. These are all located within, in the same geological trend, which is southeast going northwest regionally.
OK， 我感觉我这儿应该是2500米啊，那是2000，我帮你打一下 ，OK， 应该是4000公里。他现在是给了我另外一个截图，然后这一块是它的target area 啊，是想从这个红色圈圈这里是它的 Santa Barbara 这个矿产的一个资源，然后他还画了很多不同的地方，可能这一块，可能这一块等等。那么 Isca 我们先说它这个是一个银和锡多金属的一个斑岩且热复合体啊，那是中世纪的一个滩界，我前面有说了，是个破掉的一个火山口有关系。那么在这一块里面啊，非常容易挖到的就是银和锡等多金属。它是一个主要的火山口，2个子火山所组成，然后是现在的岩体走向呢，一般是西北东南往上至少这个4000公里啊，然后宽度2000公里，然后再沿个1000多公里的一个深度啊，它的年龄和这几个主要的比现在正在可以挖出来的一个矿床啊非常相似啊，地理位置走向也非常相似，所以单一的从单个的一个，他刚才给我做了一个计算，里面可以挖出的锡也好，银也好啊，这都是非常可观的一个数字。那么它只是一个地方，然后不止这一个地方，旁边好几个地方，这未来都是要一起去开矿，一起去勘探。那大家可以想一下啊，它这个想象空间还是非常诱人的。
So this is what we call a longitudinal section. It's what they call a modeled magnetic inversion model. Angel, just to make sure that your readers, listeners understand, I'm a finance guy. I am not a geologist. So I can't really describe in major detail
Sure.
how the magnetic inversion works. One thing I can tell you though, just from a layman's standpoint, is that it looks like this is, you see at the bottom, you see porphyry, like a tin porphyry at the bottom right corner. And that's where we believe is the main feeder system that pushed up a lot of these different metals. And as the metals get up, you have less tin, you get more lighter metals like silver, lead, zinc. And up at Santa Barbara, that's where we get a lot of zinc and silver. We get some tin, but basically zinc, lead, and silver. Okay. And then as you get deeper down, the tin really kicks up because it's deemed as a hot metal, a high temperature metal. So it's heavy. And that's where you also see more copper. And there's, we also see a bit of gold as well. The one point about this picture that I like to basically explain to people is the big question is, why wasn't this property ever discovered? Because Bolivia has been around the Spanish, the Bolivians, they've been mining for many, many centuries. Why didn't they find this? All the other major deposits have been found years ago. Why didn't they find this? And this is very, very simple. You see the green areas, that's what we call the Ordovician Sandstone. That's the old seabed. That's 250 million years ago. And then you see this intrusion, this volcanism. Remember, that's 12 million years ago. But the Ordovician Sandstone also has quartz in it, quartz. And quartz is very hard to erode. And also in this complex, you have what they call later stage epithermal systems that carried a lot of silica. So the silica and the quartz was on top of this. You see the green on top? That's the top of the mountain. And when the glaciation came through millions of years ago, it took the tops off many different mountains and exposed some of their metals. In our case, the glaciation did not take out it basically stayed because of the silica and the quartz. So you had this layer, and eventually it became oxidized and leached the ground. So there were no metals in the top areas of this mountain. And that's why this thing had never been drilled. So this has been sort of preserved, sitting there for centuries. This volcanic that carried all the magma. And that's the brilliance of the luck of us starting and drilling into the side of the mountain in the sulfides and finding this from the old adits. That's very, very important.
Okay. 那他先要让我跟大家说一下，他本身是一个财务背景啊，不是一个专业的地理学家啊，他可能说的很多不那么准确，但是这个纵向剖面它是模拟磁反转的一个图，往从向东看来看，就是玻利维亚这个地方，本身它是一个矿产非常丰富的国家，那么应该说数以百年、数以千年都一直在挖，为什么这一块我们一开始没有被发现过，没有被挖？很简单，我刚才查了一下，它这个叫奥陶系砂岩啊，然后呢上面也是有覆盖的这一块。那如果一直挖，其实下面的表层挖不到什么矿的，挖不到什么铜啊之类的，所以他们会以为说挖了蛮久也没有挖出什么东西，就觉得没有。那随着时间的推移啊，以1200年啊到几千年2500年这样子，慢慢的，它随着那个风化啊、地质的一个变动啊等等啊，那本身它就是坐在火山口啊， 它慢慢出来了，所以这个时间点还挺重要的。那你说这个里面有很多锡嘛？我刚才看了一下，其实锡有但不多，它里面可能会有一些锌啊，会有一些银等等这些矿质。那这是它的中心啊，这是 POCO 这一块。那这个伊斯卡能够没有那么多年没有被人挖到啊，然后是一个应该说是家族吧所拥有。那现在这个家族也愿意出售99%给到我们 Elrrf 公司，这件事情本身是非常幸运的啊。那它的地理位置非常好，周边人家都发现了很多的矿产资源，而这一块目前还没有被挖掘。当然现在我们已经买下来了99%的产权，已经正在开始挖。这个是需要跟我们观众朋友再反复强调一下的。这地方有矿吗？有矿。这地方有没有被挖过？暂时没有人挖过，我们是第一个来挖的人。那通过很多的技术的去看，这地方肯定是有非常丰富的资源。OK。
And basically, this is just our geological plan map, this slide, showing basically the drilling, all the different drill pads, the underground, the surface drilling, and you can see it's mainly been within the Santa Barbara area, and because that's where we're infilling for our mineral resource, which should be out middle of Q3. We've extended it from Q2, the report, because we're coming in with more results from our drilling in October, November that took so long to receive because of the COVID issues with the laboratories being so very slow with our turnarounds. So, but that's just a map showing all the drilling to date.
这是它的，这是一个地质规划图，伊斯卡啊。那圣巴巴拉矿产资源啊，目前是把它扩大到1400米然后宽是500米，深度是600米。打了很多洞，大概多少深等等，大家可以看一下这张图。然后是10月份吧，9、10月份开始打的，然后 Q2 第二季度。然后未来 Q3、Q4 会有更多陆续的好消息出来啊，因为是疫情的关系，打了很多，然后慢慢的都已经拿到了一些数据，各方面都在稳步推进中。
Yeah, now this slide basically, this just gives us our drilling intercepts and like the drills to date. And it just sort of, it shows you the different, on every drill that you see, like the probably the most valuable drill, if you compare the metals, the value of the metals to the length, they show you this intrinsic value, the intensity of the rock. But the coloring depicts in each hole the different metals. So, you've got silver, which is the red, and then you have the tin, which is sort of the goldy color, and then you have the zinc, and the lead as well. Then you've got gold and others. So it gives you a distribution of the different metals in the different drill holes, some of our best drill holes. I mean, some of these holes were over 370 meters in length. We're not dealing with 5, 10, 20 meter stuff that a lot of, the markets get excited about. We're talking anywhere from 100 to 370 meters of holes that are mineralized. That just shows you the size and strength of what took place under this volcanic edifice. Next. Okay. Or you have to do that. Sorry.
这我们看一下这个伊斯卡我前面说他们已经打了很多洞了，是10月份吧，去年2020年应该开始打洞了，对，2021年，然后打了那么多洞，它的情况怎么样？然后要强调一下，它还没有打得很深啊，都是比较浅层的。然后大家可以看一下，它大概我看了一下不同的洞，它所的这个 金属含量是不一样的。那么红色是银，这算什么？咖啡黄是锡啊，那个紫色是锌啊，深红色是铅，然后淡蓝吧。鹅黄色是铜啊，绿色是其他。你可以看到不同的洞，它的成分是不一样的。我看了有一些像22年这个3月1号打的这个洞啊，它的锡成分就会比较多啊。大家我前面说过，锡这一块供不应求，非常需要，它有点像金属之间的一个胶水粘合剂的一个作用啊。那么22年的2月23号打的洞啊，也是锡比较多。21年的时候1月份打的这个洞，大概是锌比较多啊。所以你可以看到，它就算没有打到很深，它的已经可以有那么多丰富的一个资源，那验证了之前我们说这一个地方是对的地方，矿产资源很丰富，这片山脉啊，当然我们是选择火山口这里。伊斯卡这个地方已经99%的权益已经买下来了，之前从来没有人去打，现在通过2021到2022这应该算1年吧，对，1年多不到的时间打了那么多，看到的一个前12名的一个截面排名，的确有矿，而且矿产资源非常丰富。
So just one thing, Angel, we do have a slide that shows the basic grades and the widths of some of those holes if you want down the road to put that in, because it shows, how wide some of these holes were, the thickness. Like, that top hole was 373 meters of basically 171 gram silver equivalent. All you need is $50 a ton. We're getting 171 over 373 meters. There's like 10 holes like that. Anyway, that's on a slide that you don't have on this deck, but that's just so that you know if you need it for reference.
OK， 那关于那个前面我说那么多截面的那个，如果你们想看更多的数据也好，图片也好，我这儿都可以另外去提供。那欢迎在下面留言，然后我可以留言后我可以跟您最好是留一下你的联系方式吧，我可以把这些更多的资源的信息发给大家。
And this slide's basically another technical slide. It's basically what they call a north-south looking cross section of Santa Barbara. And you see those lines. Those are some of the latest drill holes that we've had, that we've received and issued to the market. But it's showing the intensity, like that purple, for instance. The purple color along those drill intercepts are showing that the gram silver equivalent is over 150 gram silver equivalent, like just on the purple sections. So you're seeing the size potential of just on a few holes that we just recently came out with. And that's why we're extending the mineral resource. We want to encapsulate this added deeper material into the first pass mineral resource. Okay.
这个是看一下，它这个就是现场拍下来的这个照片的样子啊。然后这个是一个截图，可以看到它们一个相交点啊，不同的这个叫什么 DS， 这个是个地方，就是那个小洞的名字啊，拉出来的这个金属含量的确非常的高，包括你看这个是大于110的这个银所含的等等，包括还有其他的一些不同的金属含量都很高。那么我要再强调一下挖矿的公司主要的是你这个矿有没有挖到啊？那现在看来这家矿不仅是已经不再是怎么在等待挖掘的过程啊，是已经确定这个地方是有矿，而且已经通过打了那么多洞，我记得他打了几十个洞，80多个洞吧，前面说对。打了70-80个洞，然后每一个洞里面的确都是非常丰富的一个矿产含量啊，不管是有锡也好，有银也好啊，这块或者是有铜还是锌都有。
Now this slide It's what they call a magnetic inversion model, and it shows the location of one of our drill holes, DSBU-3, which simply means the Santa Barbara underground hole. But it was a hole, DSBU-03, that went deeper down. And what you see, this red blob, it basically, it's a magnetic type of inversion model that correlates with high magnetism, sulfidic. And in this case, it's the conductor is pyrrhotite. And there's two types of magnetic agents. You've got magnetite and pyrrhotite. In this case, this is pyrrhotite, and pyrrhotite's associated with tin. And this is how we deciphered this major sort of red object, which is probably around, it could be 700-800 million ton size potential, just there alone. We don't know. We have to drill it out to prove up that it's consistent. But this is what's got a lot of people excited, because this will be mainly tin, probably tungsten as you go deeper down, but mainly tin. And I think that this could be the game changer. Like, this could really put us on the world map, because this could last for 40 years, 40, 50 years of mine life, just on the tin alone. So this is another, we're going to call this Domain 2. Domain 1 is Santa Barbara for the first pass, open pit mining at Santa Barbara. This would be, and this, by the way, is close to the valley floor. You can access it right across into the top part from the valley floor of the caldera. So this could be a major tin deposit, and this is why we brought another drill on the property. So we, 4 drills now, and we're going after like wide spacing drilling over the next few months to really fill in this thing and find out what we have. So we're really excited about this new potential discovery.
这是另外一个钻孔的地方 DSBU-3，然后这是一个磁反转或者磁反演的一个模型。这个模型让很多这个地理方面的专家非常兴奋啊。按照这个就是显示上面的数据来看，下面的稀是非常非常的丰富啊，可能未来我们觉得40-50年都没啥问题啊。那么还是这句话啊，它这个给了很多它的含量啊银啊等等它的情况，然后它并没有掘得很深，就已经是这个数据。如果再往下掘，相信是一个大矿啊，是个大矿。那么我感觉这个原因还是跟前面所说的这个数百数千年来还没有人挖过伊斯开斯克这个地方主要是相关的，包括它这个本来就是在火山口啊这一块选址是有相当的关系的。
I assume this is our next steps.
Yeah, next step, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the next steps are we keep the drills going. It's a very, very aggressive exploration program. We have multi-targets. We want to build out as much tonnage as efficiently as we can. We have, the different tools. We're bringing an AI scanner down for zonation. It's on its way to the site. It depicts zonation of metals within the different structures of the volcanic system. We have downhole IP. You've seen some of the magnetic inversion modeling. We're throwing everything we can technically from a geophysical standpoint at this project. But there's going to be a lot of drilling. Between 50 to 100,000 meters of drilling you'll see coming up over the next 12 months. And that's going to really, along with that, you'll see scoping and economic studies as to the logistics, the infrastructure, how this turns into a proper economic producing entity. So it's really exciting in that it's early days. You know, I would say from you were probably in the third inning. We've got a long way to go. So there's going to be a lot of news flow. I look at us, there aren't too many publicly traded resource companies that have, you know, gone from, you know, 30 cents to $20 or $30. This has the capability of doing that. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying it has a good chance that it could. You know, we look at Philo, we look at Solaris, some of these other companies, Great Bear. These are companies that just took off, and they took off because the assets were so big. They found big assets. We have the potential here of finding something, not a world-class deposit, which is usually 400 million tons, up to 400 million tons, but a giant, which is well above 400 million tons. You know, we're quite confident with our technical team and the sheer fact that every hole is mineralized, that we're in a very big system.
OK， 那么说到这儿，就是说，哎，那下一步是怎么样？因为你看啊，他们是2020年的时候跟那个伊斯卡的拥有者这个家族签了协议，然后花了钱买下99%的权益。2021年开始打洞，2022年现在是2022年3月份。那下一步，通过这些打洞，也的确看到了很多的就每一个洞里面的确这个数据非常喜人啊，里面的矿的资源非常的丰富啊，应该是说跟这个选址有关啊，以及这个地方从来没有被人开采过啊，是个处女矿吧，应该算处女资源。那下一步当然是积极的继续做更多的勘探的一个计划，包括已经在进行的51000米的金刚石的探钻啊。那重点还是在圣巴巴拉这块地方。然后预计大概会出更多的一个资产吧，那符合这个标准的那个矿产资产的这个会披露啊。然后我们这家 Elrrf-Resource 公司呢，21年完成了2笔，大概加起来是3000万加元的一个收购的交易啊，目前资金也非常充足。然后现场呢有3台转机，然后还会加第4台，因为要完成计划中的51000米的那个金刚石勘探嘛。圣巴拉这个地区目标走向就是1400米，然后宽500，然后延到600这个深度啊，完成了这个探钻。他把自己的公司也和目前市场上很多股价已经到30块钱甚至40块钱一股的公司去做了比较，当然不是说它能够立马到这个价格，但是之所以那些小公司从3毛起飞到30的原因，是因为他们不停的有什么好消息，他们所勘探的矿产的资源被证实说下面有那么多矿产。非常丰富所以这个公司的股价就起来了。那我们现在看了一下我们的 Elrrf， 它目前的价格应该是4.4块啊，就现在的来说，我不知道等到我这个抛到 YouTube 的时候大家看是多少钱。但是总结一下吧，这是一家挖银挖锡的一个多金属的一个项目，在伊斯卡这个地方啊，当然这个地方是属于玻利维亚的。那么我们在 OTC 的 ticker 是 Elrrf 啊，目前今天的股价是4块多，然后已经它不是正在什么猜测下面有没有，是已经打了洞，打了80多个洞，而且通过打出来的洞的确是资源非常的丰富啊，比如说前12个洞的那个截面，大家也可以看到里面有哪些资源。那包括这个地方是在哪里火山口火山口应该说是塌陷吧？对，这个地方从古至今目前还没有人去挖过那我们 Elrrf 是 the first one， 第一家去做这个矿的资源。计划是今年把51000米那个都把它给赚了吧，对吧？相信下面会有更多的矿产资源等待我们去挖掘。